Welcome to the Verdin Verdict Sports Show. I'm your host, Jacob Verdin, joined by my guy, G-Sportz. G, what's up? How you feeling?
Was good with it.
Got a nice little preview today. Brian Kelly hopped on the college game day pod, and he hurt some people's feelings. G, he had some things to say. I don't necessarily disagree with him, but we're going to react to him. We're going to open the floor for discussion. If anybody has any questions, comments, concerns, as per usual, drop them in the chat. We'll get to them throughout the show. LSU dropped their schedule, too. Not a lot of primetime action. Not a lot of Saturday nights in Death Valley, at least when it matters most. NBA Finals going to kick off again tonight. Game 4 in Indy. They took a series lead. Vegas was kind of doubting the Pacers a little bit. And my boy Halliburton hitting a Superman moment and putting the team on his back. But quite frankly, hey, we're going to shout out the bench. Got a couple of key statistics that might, win over some doubters in terms of Indianapolis. And then obviously, as we do every Friday, best headlines of the week. I got 3 headlines for you. I'm going to break them all down. But first things first, let's jump into this Brian Kelly segment. So, he talked about a lot of things. Revenue share, Garrett Nussmeier, Harold Perkins. Start off with the first one. I feel like the biggest takeaway I got from this is that they already had a plan in place. I think he said the beginning of May they were already getting this set in stone, rather. And you know the old adage, G, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. LSU is one of the biggest brands in college, and they're a big brand for a reason. They got a lot of smart minds, a lot of smart people in the building, and this is no different. They're kind of ahead of the curve, so to speak, but there's still a lot of other question marks, a lot of things that you're going to have to iron out. My biggest question mark, and he kind of touched on this in the episode, is how do you enforce this? Because naturally, yeah, you got a salary cap. Yeah, you're going to have a clearinghouse that every single deal over $600 will get investigated, and hopefully, they pin it to a true fair market value to prevent people from getting overpaid or whatever the case may be. I'm going to go out on a limb and say I just don't think all this litigation, all these rules, all these guidelines, one, they're probably not going to be followed to a T, and two, as we know at the NCAA, they're not all going to get enforced the same way. So naturally, it's a good start, but I think we're on a long, long road. This is just a beginning. G, what do you think about in terms of enforcing this and just the overall reactions to hearing things like that?
I like that they're enforcing some type of rules and putting some guidelines in place. But in actuality, it's gonna go back to how it was before NIL was even introduced to college sports. You're gonna start seeing people get the paper bags, the drop offs in the back of the trunks, the meet me at a post office and look inside the building. They got a a black book sack with large a large number of $100 bills in there. It's gonna get back to that, bro. It's no policing this. It's too difficult to monitor this around the clock. Especially when you got agents and all these different handlers involved. Is no way. So I'm glad that they're trying to put some guidelines in place. And look, that's just what come with college sports, bro. It's just gonna be a lot of underlying shit going on behind the scenes that you can't police, and all the NCAA and people that's working in favor to make sure they have some rules in place. All they need to say is, look, we tried, we put some rules, we put some guidelines, we did our part. All right, so nobody can sit here and say that we didn't try to get some structure, right? And if people want to move, and don't have no integrity, and try to get an advantage in some kind of way by giving people cash under the table, you just got to live with it. We don't live in a perfect world, but I'm glad they put this in place.
I agree. Yeah, it's a start for sure. You know what I think we need, though? We've been saying it for a while. You need a damn commissioner, college football commissioner. Get somebody out there that at least is the face and has the proper motives, the proper internal moral compass to be able to lead this entire, league, so to speak, in the right direction. I mean, I know a guy, Nick Saban, got a couple other guys you could probably throw in the mix as well, but it'll be interesting to watch how the hammer, so to speak, gets dropped on some of these people because it ain't gonna be smooth. This salary cap gonna be played with. Somebody gonna try something, and you're gonna have to pretty much wait to figure out what that is.
Yeah, they just can't have no paper trail.
It's gonna be
I'm
interesting.
telling you, it's going back to straight cash. You ain't nobody gonna get no Zelle. You ain't gonna get no cash apps, no Apple Pay. It's gonna be straight cash, how they used to do before NIL was introduced to college sports. It's about to go back to that. I'm telling you.
Hey, look, at least maybe in a positive light. At least you're going back towards the old days, and it's not getting as bad as people want to say college football or college sports are changing all the time. Hey, look, that's an area where you're going back to your roots. So there you go. Another comment BK made. I found this interesting. We're just going to talk about this one briefly. Harold Perkins, right? First off, he gave an update on Harold Perkins and Whit Weeks both being healthy, which is a plus, a big thing. Whit got injured a little bit, went down in the bowl game, small dislocated ankle, was able to go through a procedure, sat out the whole spring, and as of right now, he's cleared to play in fall camp. He's going to get back in it, get back in the pads, get back in the mix, and it says a lot for LSU's defense as a whole. Coach Kelly doubled down and said this roster is obviously the best they've had on that side of the ball in quite some time, and Blake Baker's been able to get all the kinks ironed out. The biggest one that fans have been talking about is Harold Perkins, and we've talked about it time and time and time again on the show, but we're going to double down one more time, let everybody know the deal. So Harold Perkins moving to star, right? A lot of people are worried about the decisions, the fact that he's going to be in coverage, the fact that there could potentially be a speedy slot that he has to get, one-on-one with. And with that being said, obviously you're going to need a lot of help. I think the secondary is at its best that it's been in quite some time, 3-4 years, if you will. And that's going to be a big part into addressing some of these issues. But, like he said in the show, you got to also do what's best for the player. Fans obviously have a tendency to want to do what's best for the team, what's best to win a game, what's best for victories on Saturdays. And look, that's cool. That's fine and dandy. But Harold Perkins still has to get to the NFL and ball out. Talk about the star position and what you think here. Is that the right move?
Absolutely the right move. Uh, like we talked about before in previous segments, that Blake Baker understands how to adjust his defense to where Harold Perkins will be able to get evaluated properly by the NFL and also put LSU's defense in a position where they can get the most out of Harold Perkins. Just because he's going to be dropping in coverage don't mean he's never going to blitz. That doesn't
Exactly.
mean he will never line up on the edge and rush the passer. He's just going to be used in a multitude of ways. And like I've been talking about this whole offseason, what they did in the transfer portal and getting all these guys, and Patrick Payton and Fireburn from Florida and Jamari Butler from Nebraska, the kid, the big D tackle from Texas, they gonna be fine, bro. They're not gonna be relying on 7 to be able to get to the passer because they got a plethora of other guys that could do it. So I just think this is going to make things easier for Harold Perkins. And you're not going to be hearing this question week in and week out when the season comes. How are you guys going to lay Harold Perkins on the edge so we can get pressure on the quarterback? Because they're going to get pressure from these guys we just named. And then you talk about guys that's been developing, who played as a true freshman, Relaford. I think he has a promising future. I think he showed a lot of flashes last year that he can be an impact player on his defense this year as a guy that rotates in. You know what I'm saying? So I think LSU defense will be fine, and I think that Harold Perkins will be able to play a lot of different positions on that field and help that team and help himself when you talk about his draft stock.
And that's going to be a big piece to LSU this year, especially in week one, when you're going to be facing a tough test in Clemson. Cade Club, they're going to have to get him off his spot, get him a little uncomfortable because, hey, he's a gunslinger in his own right, right? Everybody's talking about Nussmeier. We'll get to that comment here in a little bit, but I want to touch on what Coach Kelly said in terms of the Clemson game. Obviously, they need to win the game. Got to start on a positive, note because you've been getting off on the wrong foot for the last few years. What, 4 or 5 years? I mean, 4 for Kelly, but overall 5. Either way, well, 3 for Kelly, 5 overall. Excuse me, because UCLA and Mississippi State were before his time, but still, LSU fans got a bad taste in their mouth, right? He made a couple of comments. I'm gonna highlight both of them. First things first, he said that this is not necessarily a defining factor in the overall playoff run. I'm gonna let you react to that one, as well as the fact that he said he never circled an opening game. Now it's a focus. Now he's letting everybody know in the building, hey, there's locker room messages. There's messages on T-shirts. There's an overall focus in terms of we got to start fast. What do you think about the comment in terms of if this will hurt them, a potential loss in week one? And what do you think about the fact that now he's focusing on this one? Because in my opinion, I feel like LSU's been focused on week one. I feel like you have to. It goes without saying.
I appreciate BK being transparent like that and saying that they got Clemson circled and it's all over the building because now you're letting not only the fan base know, but you're letting everybody in that building understand that we got to take week one serious, and we can't go 0-4 in my 4 years in the season open. All right, we ain't gonna act like this is just another game because it's not. It's not. And if they happen to lose to Clemson, do I think that will hurt their chances of getting into the 12-team playoff? No, I don't. I think they'll still have a good opportunity to get there, but you just make things more difficult on yourself if you lose that week one game because you just never know how that shit gonna fall when you get an SEC play. They got Florida the third week of the season. I think Florida's gonna be a top four team in the SEC this year. I think they got a Heisman Trophy candidate at quarterback in DJ Lagway. I
Mm-hmm.
think Billy Napier, with him going in the year four with that roster he got coming back, I think Florida is somebody that people are not talking about enough. And so losing week one, no, it don't put you out the 12-team playoff, and you still have opportunity. But now you minimize your chances of getting in because now you can't have any too many slip ups in SEC play. Florida, Ole Miss, Bama, South Carolina, those are teams that they got to watch out for. And I think that Oklahoma program is going to be somebody that they got to play the last game of the season at Oklahoma, in which if you ever seen a game at Norman, it's tough to play down there. So they just need to go ahead and take care of business week one, so they could take some of the pressure off them as they get to go as they go into SEC play.
Yeah, it'd be an entirely different look for LSU. And LSU, quite frankly, at this point, they're locked and loaded. They got weapons. They got confidence in a guy, Garrett Nussmeier, that a lot of people feel is the best quarterback in college football. I feel like there's not that much room for discussion or debate in that regard. Even if you don't got him at number one, you got at minimum number three in the bottom worst case scenario, right? Brian Kelly came out and made a comment, like I said at the beginning of the show, pissed a couple people off, G. But look, hey, the truth hurts sometimes, right? Sometimes you got to rip that Band-Aid off and just be honest with them. Talking about Arch Manning, talking about Garrett Nussmeier, he says, give me Nussmeier. And I feel like that goes without saying. I mean, we were having a show on Wednesday talking about top 10 programs, and you made a fair point saying, look, you got to have experienced quarterback. Quarterback is everything in this game. Quarterback-driven league and quarterback-driven sport. And look, I agree. If you're in your first year, you don't get all the bumps and bruises. You don't get all the what's the little simile, right? You got to have the bullets fly in slow motion or whatever the case may be. Just see everything a lot clearer. Dial it back to Jaden Daniels' first year. Shit, even Joe Burrow's first year wasn't the smoothest. Wasn't horrible, but it wasn't the Heisman season that you inevitably got to see out of those quarterbacks. Same thing with a Garrett Nussmeier last year. Had a great year, had to iron out the kinks. That's why the confidence is on him this season. Arch Manning, in my opinion, I think he's got a lot of growing left to do, and it's because it'll be year one in a tough conference. He's got a great team, got a great supporting cast. But if you ask me, I'm going to go as far as to the draft next season. I don't even think he's ready for that. I think he does stay and play a whole nother year of college football. So that take to me, I don't get why it upset a lot of people. I mean, mainly the people upset as Longhorn fans, so we can pretty much use deductive reasoning as to why they got mad. But let's talk about Nussmeier, the weapons they got around him, how they were able to lock and load. Aaron Anderson, Trudez Greener obviously returning. You go in and add Barian Brown, Nick Anderson. Quite frankly, gee, if this offensive line turns around and performs and protects Nussmeier, once again, you're looking at the best offense in college football. I'll go out on a limb and say that. It's all about that front five. If you can get that rolled out there, I think you got dogs. You got them all over the place. What do you think about that and the Arch Manning comment?
So if BK would have came on and said that he rather Arch Manning over Nussmeier,
Damned
what
if
you
you
think? How you
do.
think the fans would have reacted to that?
Damned if you do, damned if you don't,
Oh
G.
man, lose
Yep.
situation. All right. But I do think what BK said was he felt like that for real because at the end of the day, Arch, I think he appeared in what 3 or 4 games last year,
I believe. Let's
and
go take a look.
yeah, I think he appeared in like 3 games last year. And look, he showed that he belongs, and he showed that he has all the capability and the tools to be a really good quarterback. But Nussmeier played a whole season and threw for 4,000 yards. Yeah, he had some bad moments, but he had some really good moments too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think he takes that momentum and that experience from last year and brings it into this year. And I just think that he's gonna be on a whole nother level. I think that anything a defense throws at him, whether they trying to disguise their coverage, move safeties around, he's gonna be fine. the biggest thing that BK talked about on that game day podcast was him understanding when it's time to check the ball down, not trying to always make the home run play. I think that's going to be the biggest development for Garrett Nussmeier. And he said he's seen that throughout the spring. When you go on the road to someone like Death Valley, right? You got to understand that. Look, I don't have to throw that 30-yard, 40-yard bomb down the field to Barry Brown or Aaron Anderson every time. I think we got a one-on-one matchup. I could drop it down to Caden Durham, right? I could drop it down to Caleb Jackson. I could drop it down to Harlem Berry, or throw the little curl route to Bauer Sharp and get a 5 or 7 yard game and move on to live to see another down. I think that's gonna be the biggest adjustment that we gonna have to see from Garrett Nussmeier in year 2 as a starter. And if he does that, that's gonna open up everything down the field. And you're gonna see Chris Hilton scoring on a 60-yard post, Baron Brown streaking on a 9 route, Aaron Anderson catching a comeback and making somebody miss it, putting that foot in the ground and hitting his head on the goalpost. You're gonna start to see those type of things happen if Garrett Nussmeier takes what happened last season and use it and says is, look, let me check it down sometime. I ain't gotta force this down the field. And I think what's gonna help Garrett too, this defense is gonna be a lot better, which will get that offense more possessions, which will make Garrett say to himself, all right, we got a good defense. If we not giving up 28 points a game, all right, I can kind of take my time with this and thinking don't when I have to, and then take my chances when I get it. And I think that's gonna be the biggest thing for them this year, man. Look, we know they get this the best roster they done had since BK has been there. I think their receiving core is super, super talented. I know a lot of people are saying that they think this receiving core is better. It's one of the best in the country. I don't know if I'll go that far because we still have a lot of question marks, right? Nick Anderson, right? He missed all of last year with the groin, right? Destin Hill missed all of last year with the ACL, right? Baron Brown wasn't really a true number one at Kentucky, right? Really good player, dynamic. We know he could blow the top off of defense, but we still need to be able to see him in that number one role, right? Chris Hilton been injured every year since he's been at LSU. We know the talent. We know he can blow the top off of defense. We know that he's a touchdown waiting to happen. Bauer Sharp led Oklahoma in receiving next year. He's the only one, and Aaron Anderson, they're the only ones in my mind that I know that I don't have a question mark about. Caden Durham, he dealt with some injuries last year. Everybody, I think he kind of bursted onto the scene last year and nobody really knew about it. Well, everybody got film on Caden Durham now. Will he have a sophomore slump? We'll see. Caleb Jackson didn't take that next step in his process last year as a sophomore. Can he get rid of that sophomore slump and take another step? So there's a lot of question marks on that offense of what will be. But when you talk about on paper and when you talk about from a talent standpoint, yeah, super, super talented. But we just got to see it all play out.
I agree. Only time will tell. And if you look at the schedule, it's not that it's the hardest one that LSU's played, but like you were talking about, meeting Florida right after Clemson, going into Ole Miss on the road, coming back home and getting greeted by South Carolina and Lenore Sellers, who potentially had your number last year if some laundry was cleaned up off the field. First takeaway from the schedule, G, we'll make this one really quick. One SEC home game scheduled at night, right? You got Arkansas in the early slot, which will be around 11 a.m., 12 p.m. It's in November, though, so you ain't going to be murked. It ain't going to be like UCLA where it was 100-plus degrees, everybody croaking all over the place. But you got two SEC home games that are flexed, South Carolina and A&M. One of them going to be primetime, G. You can't tell me both of them going to be at 3 p.m. I can see one of them being at 3 p.m., and it'll probably be, I would guess, the A&M game just because South Carolina's got more star power, but you never know at this point. At least you get a primetime spot versus Clemson, right? On the road in Death Valley, potentially. I think that one might be a little too rough. You do get 3 night games versus small schools, LA Tech, Southeastern, WKU. Not the most exciting. Like if I had to put any game at 3 o'clock or in the day, it'd be those, but not the end of the world. You can look at it 2 ways, G. One, LSU can prove themselves and flex those 2 games, South Carolina and A&M, to prime time. Also, the other mindset is just they're not in the spotlight. They don't got a lot of pressure, which in the end could help them. I don't think the times of the games really matter to the players. It's more so mattering to the fans. But what's your takeaway to this?
I think it's just too early to overreact to the schedule, especially when you see the word flex,
Yep.
because anytime you get into the season and Ole Miss is off to a good start, or A&M is off to a good start, they gonna flex that to a night game, bro. They're not gonna play those type of game when you got a two top 25 teams in the country playing at 12 o'clock in the daytime. It just, especially in South Louisiana, I just don't see it happening. So I think it's just too early to overreact to it. So I think once the season starts and they get to about week 3, you're gonna start seeing a lot of those games flex.
See, it's definitely too early to tell. You never know. A lot of things can happen. Let's get to these comments real quick, and we're gonna switch out of this. H-Town Creole, what's up? Talking about doesn't think Clemson's make or break too early in the season. You got this is what's on your side, G. If you got to ask me, they're probably gonna win the ACC. And when you're looking at the college football playoff format, conference
You
champions,
just gonna count SMU out like that, huh?
I'm riding Clemson high. Look, they got a lot of talented teams. I mean, you can even throw Miami in there, but the stock I'm buying is all over K Clubbing. That's what I'm feeling. But I think that the fact that they could even be in the game, if LSU
I
loses to
wonder
them,
if SMU played Clemson.
let's go take a look. Let's look at Clemson's entire schedule real quick.
Because SMU quarterback Jennings, he come back, bro.
He cold.
He
He
really, really
cold.
good. I think he's somebody that nobody talking about in the country.
They do not play. They do not
So they
play.
probably gonna meet up in the ACC championship.
Because Clemson starts off with LSU. After that, your tough games. Oh, they do play. I'm tripping. October 18th, 2025 in Clemson. Look at me.
Circle that game.
That's going to be a big one.
Where they play at? Where they play at?
Clemson.
Ooh. I think Jennings will be fine.
It'll be interesting. The only
got a lot of
game
experience. They made it to the
that,
12. They made it to the 12-team playoff last year. Watch out for SMU, bro.
Clemson got LSU. I'm gonna throw Syracuse in there a little bit. Shout out Ricky Collins. SMU, Florida State, South Carolina. South Carolina's on the road. Every other game that I named is home for Clemson. So look, balls in your court, Gabe. Balls in your court. One more comment over here. Let's see. Oh, Lord, some Cole Kubelik slander. He said different about LSU. He thinks Cole is trash. Come on, Cole Kubelik's an offensive line expert, man. I'm going to take some of his opinions. I like him. I like Cole a lot. H-Town Creole, Nick Anderson. If he plays like he did his freshman year, he went into Bolitnikoff, G.
Nah, come on now, H-Town Creole. Come on, that's a little premature. He did ball out his freshman year. He did.
Yeah.
Bolitnikoff is insane work, though. I don't know if I go that far.
It is. Oh, Blanche in the chat was good, man. He's talking about SMU potentially having the best team they ever had. I'm going to double down and put H-Town Creole back on the air. Money City in Dallas. Damn right. That tuition, we talked about that like a month ago, bro. It's like 50 bands to walk in there for a year. They got some bread over there on the table. So in this era, they're going to be able to compete. And then shout out Jennings. I do think that's an underrated quarterback as well. I believe he'll be at the NPA. Y'all stay tuned. Got a lot of interesting content coming for you as well. We'll keep some of that under wraps, though. All right, G. Let's talk about some NBA Finals. Let's talk about what the hell Halliburton took the Pacers, not just him. Pacers took a 2-1 series lead in the first finals game in Indy in 25 years. It wasn't, the most beautiful victory. It was close. It was physical. They had a little flagrant that a lot of people were questioning at the end of the game. I'll open the floor to you for that as well, but I got some statistics. I always hop on here with some next-gen stats. I can't just keep it boring. Teams that win Game 3 of a 1-1 NBA Finals, G, have gone on to win 80% of the time. That's all I'm going to say. Indianapolis is looking damn good. Pacers are also unbeaten after taking an L, 5-0 this postseason. If you look at Game 3 as a whole, the fourth quarter, it got blown wide open. 32-18 run in the fourth. Another key stat. Indy's bench outscored Oklahoma City's 49-18. I mean, good Lord. The proof is in the pudding right there. Pacers right now only plus 185 to win the whole series. We told you plus 550 was too high. Then they had Halliburton like damn near plus 700 to win the MVP. And I'm not saying he's guaranteed because, look, you got a lot of role players balling. You got Obi Toppin. You got Pascal Siakam. Shit, Naismith is even turning up. But I'm just saying, if the Pacers win, we all know who's probably taking home that hardware. So if you're a betting man, I hope you got on it. I hope you slapped it because it's looking good. And tonight, let's just play devil's advocate. Let's just, I'm going to throw it out there. The Pacers go up 3-1, G, they favored. Straight up like that. They go from plus 550, some of the worst odds I've ever seen in my life, to favored. What you think about this? Recap Game 3, the whole 9 yards.
before the final started, bro, I picked the Pacers. I'm
Come on.
just saying, man, like I don't know everything, bro, but I know a little something, dog.
Yeah.
This Pacers team might not be the most star studied. They might not play the flashy style of basketball like most people want to see, but this is the epitome of a team. Halliburton, what the Halley, finally took it upon himself to say, I'm gonna be aggressive in the first half and not wait to the second half. I thought that was a big part into why they was able to win game 3. But now we finally was able to see the an appearance of Benedict Mathurin. Man, this dude was the third lead scorer all the regular season, but in his playoffs, he has struggled. He has not played like himself. Man, did he show up in game 3 with 27 points. And he was efficient. I want to say he was like 9 for 13 or something like that. I think he was like 3 for 4 from 3-point range. Like that dude could put the ball in the hoop, bro. And I was glad to see him finally get going. TJ McDonald, bro. This
Shout
dude
out.
is the ultimate glue guy in the NBA. He pulled the Jose Alvarado on OKC the other night, right? For y'all that probably don't watch the Pelicans play, Jose Alvarado always acts like he's about to walk to the bench or like kind of like runs to the corner, and then when they take the ball out, he Herbert hops back into play and steals the ball. TJ McDonald did it to him 3 times the other night. I thought that was that was 6 points that played a pivotal part into them being able to win this game. You know, it's plays like that plays such a big part. And then you got guys like Miles Turner, who's been with the Pacers all his career. 5 blocks. Yeah, he only had 9 points in the game, but he had 5 blocks, and I want to say he had like double-digit rebounds. Miles Turner is one of those players on the Indiana Pacers team that does so many different things other than scoring, and that is why I picked the Pacers to win this finals, bro, because they got a lot of guys like that: Nimboy, Nesmith, right? Obi Toppin, um, Pascal Siakam. They got guys on their team that's not flashy, that's gonna play hard, that's gonna play defense, that's gonna do whatever it takes to win. And that's what's making the Pacers a tough task for OKC right now. I think somebody like Chet Holmgren, Jalen Williams, and SGA. I think what they gotta do is, man, they gotta get to the point where they saying to themselves, okay, that finesse shit, this ain't gonna work against this team. We did that all year long, playing that finesse game. They're gonna have to make up in their mind going into this game for that they want to beat. They want to play a physical brand of basketball. That's the only way they're gonna beat the Pacers, because the Pacers is a physical team, bro. Like you come to the paint, Pascal Siakam and Miles Turner waiting on you, dog. They reminded me of the Detroit Pistons back in the day with Bill
Yeah.
and Bill. Like
Yeah.
they coming with that pie y'all when you step foot in that paint. And I think game 3 was the first time I saw Shea look rattled. He led his team with 7 turnovers, bro. I never seen him turn the ball over like that. And I thought one of the pivotal plays in that game that I really felt like he was rattled. He went to the goal and they sent a double team from the corner, and he tried to spin. And when he saw the extra man come, he traveled. And his facial expression, his body language after they called that turnover, it let me know that he was rattled, and he didn't look like himself. Do I think OKC gonna battle and come back and make this a series? Yeah, I mean this series is far from over. But I think if they want to win, bro, they're gonna have to play a physical brand of basketball, because the way Indiana playing right now, bro, they know they can't get into a up and down shootout game with OKC. They know they gotta rebound the basketball, block shots, send them to the foul line, foul them hard. They know they got to play that type of basketball. They won't be OKC. And OKC better match their energy, or they'll see Mr. Halliburton holding up that Larry Brown trophy in a couple in a week or two.
And this is one of the first times this season you see the Thunder start to kind of get out of that favored light. Everybody was saying they're the number one team, and look, Shea been balling, right? I mean, averaging 30 points half the time. He dropping plus 40, and now you're in a spot where the pressure's on more than it probably has ever been. You're really gonna get to see his true colors here. Yeah, people like Shaq saying, "Get a ring, Shea, and you one of the best in the league." And Halliburton said, "Whoa, whoa, 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 hold up, swole up. I think I'm
Not so fast.
say about that." Gonna be interesting to watch. All right. We might have time for this segment. I'm gonna just hurry up, quickly flash between a couple of headlines, and then I'm gonna leave the last one up for G to react. Tom Brady getting a statue. I think this is worth noting. You don't know. Yesterday was Tom Brady, day 612, 6 rings in New England, obviously, number 12, TB12. Going to get a statue unveiled on August 8th in a preseason game versus Commander. Shout out JD5. I can't wait for it. Tom Brady, obviously, GOAT. Gonna have a nice speech, probably. Gee, this statue better be 5,000 foot tall, solid gold, represent everything he did for this franchise. That thing better be huge, towering over Gillette Stadium. That goes without saying. One of the best of all time. Another quick headline right here. This was interesting, right? Now I'm not gonna dive into this too hard, but the House settlement here. My first thing that I think of when I see Joe Burrow, when I see Zion Williamson is, bro, they already got bank. They already got paid. G. What's another 6 bands they each gonna get? What's that? What's that? They're gonna go put that on the craps hand and roll some dice. That ain't even nothing. I would say throw that to some people that got cut or ain't getting bread or not having a big professional career. I ain't gonna be making the decisions, but if I was CFB commissioner, I'm throwing that to some of the smaller players. That's just my take on it. I'll let you say something real quick, and then I'm gonna let you talk about your Nostradamus moment again. I ain't gonna lie to you, you did it twice this show, but
Of course, Zion and Joe Burrow don't need that money, bro. I mean, like, what they gonna do with that money, bro? I mean, well, I think everybody's supposed to get what, $1,000. What is it?
I think it was around 5, depending
Five
because
hundred? Like, come on, man. What we talking about right now?
yeah, they don't need
What we
that. They
talking about
getting
right now?
paid dummy money. They make that in 2 seconds in the middle of a game. So
Yeah, they're not
all
even gonna
right.
see that money.
Oh,
And of course, Tom Brady. I mean, bro. I mean, his statue going up at Gillette Stadium. Like, honestly, they better make this statue equivalent to how Shaq's statue looked in front of what is not the Staples no more. It's
crypto.com arena.
Crypto.com. They need to make that statue similar to that. Like how big it is. Like, please don't give them a statue how they did AI.
Nah. Oh,
It,
yeah.
yeah, what the Philadelphia 76ers did with AI statue, that was horrendous. Like, don't do Tom Brady like that. But you know, no surprise here, man. You know, he's the best quarterback I've seen in my era. Um, I think that you know, when you win 6 rings and you did it the way you did it, with not having a prolific receiving core throughout those whole 6 rings, I think that's it. That goes to show you how good he was. I mean, I want to see the year he had Randy Moss and he ain't
He
even
didn't
win it
win.
that year. He ain't
Or
even win
Wes
it that year.
Welker. Didn't do
Yeah,
that either.
yeah. You know
Wow.
that was the only time he really had real weapons, and so that's why when people try to compare Tom Brady to Peyton Manning, I always say if Tom Brady had Reggie Wayne and Marvin Harrison and
Demarius Thomas.
that Dallas Clark and all them, and, come on, bro, like the dude would have probably
Forbes.
he probably would have put up records that would never be broken. Just saying.
I agree. Last headline for you, G. Once again, like I said, Nostradamus moment. Pels targeting Ace Bailey. Yeah, you had the floor about a month ago. You were saying Cooper Flag, yeah, he's great, but if you want to really look, have a comprehensive review, cut the tape on, and just let it speak for itself. Your guy was Ace Bailey, and now the Pelicans are apparently aggressively trying to move up in the NBA draft. What do you think they're going to be able to do? Do you think that they're going to be able to develop him, get him? What would you potentially give up if you do more in this situation? And just react to this real quick.
Man, look, I've been saying it since last year, and I think if Joe Dumars wants to make sure he puts the Pelicans franchise going into the right direction, you got to move on from Zion Williamson, bro. I'm just saying, bro. Like, you might as well move on now when he still has some value to him. Because if he has another season like he did last year and the previous years, you ain't gonna be able to get nothing for him. Go ahead and trade him away, swap picks, and go ahead and draft Ace Bailey and move on. You pair Ace Bailey with Trey Murphy, CJ McCollum, Messi that you drafted from Baylor last year. Um, uh, the point guard we got from the Hawks having a brain
DeJounte
for it.
Murray. DeJounte Murray.
DeJounte Murray. I think that is a good roster to put in place to be able to compete in the West. And you know, that's just my personal opinion. I think that's something um that fans probably wouldn't agree with early on because a lot of people are Zion Williamson fans, and I am too. But it's a production league, bro, and the best ability is availability. And Zion Williamson has yet to show us that he can play at least 70 games in the season. So I think Ace Bailey is the best player in the draft. I've been saying it. I stand on that. I got a lot of flack about it. People are saying that they don't know if he's going to develop into a superstar. Guess what? I'm willing to take that risk.
I agree. I mean, what else you got at this point? What else you got going for you? You might as well. And the Zion comment, right, dude? He's missed more games than he's played. G. This is another like Ben Simmons situation. And I'm not throwing no slander. I'm just saying I paid a hell of a lot of money and he ain't really doing much to earn it at that point. If y'all want to throw me a quarter billion shit, I'll go out there and sit on the bench in some street clothes, maybe a little nice dapper suit. Come on, I'll go to practice too. I'll do the whole thing. If I don't got to play, I mean, look, I can handle it. Don't put me on the court though, coach. I ain't gonna be able to do much. All right. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. We're going into the weekend. Y'all know the drill. Live Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 1 p.m. Saturday, LSU baseball plays against Arkansas, right? Hopefully they win. If not, on Monday, we're going to have an interesting stream breaking it down. Monday, regardless, I believe is going to be a contest. If they lose, they play at 1 o'clock. If they win, I believe they play at 6 o'clock. So be on the lookout for that. Everybody tap in, and y'all have a good weekend.
Don't play
At all. Never.